Man.
Let me tell you something. I don't care if you're a 240-pound running back. You run into a sharp metal air conditioner, not only is it going to put a bruise on you,
Probably break some bones.
I don't care if you got a corduroy wool line jacket on. It's going to lay your skin open underneath your clothing. Because I've fallen downstairs and everything with full winter clothes on. You take the pants off and you say, damn, how the hell did I get that gigantic raspberry? I had all these clothes on.
Good point. I'd forgotten about that, too. Yeah, we've all done that. Yeah.
And it'll lay you open every time. And anyway, I just figured I'd throw in my 2 cents to add, fuel to the fire.
Sounds good to me.
You guys have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. Ready to give up yet?
No.
Innocent as the day is long.
Then who did it?
I don't know. Don't ask me who did it.
I can ask you if I want to. Who did it?
Well, yeah, you can ask me how many angels dance on the head of a pin, too, but it's not a relevant question. It's not a question I can be expected to have an answer to.
Well, who did it? If O.J. didn't do it, who did it?
I have no idea, Sharon, but just because I don't know who did it doesn't prove, as you seem to think, that O.J. did.
Well, by God, if he didn't, I want somebody arrested and I want him busted now.
Officer, take this woman away. It's 14 minutes after 5.
Now, an AM 620 WSUN traffic patrol update. Here's Chris Walker.
Identified an accident 54th Avenue North and 28th Street with some blockage. One at 34th Avenue, 49th Street North. Eastbound Gandy, just east of 19. Right lane taken up with a crash. Countryside and 580 just coming in with an accident. So is Belcher and Northeast Coachman. A couple of accidents in Hillsborough County. One is on Providence and Bloomingdale, and that's got some injuries. Simmons and Van Dyke, Hannah and Clement. Chris Walker, AM 620 WSUN Traffic Patrol.
Now, the AM 620 WSUN Stock Market Update, brought to you by Greg Cunningham and Bill Hoyt of Raymond James & Associates.
Stocks closed broadly lower today as investors continued to sell off technology stocks over concerns third quarter earnings won't live up to expectations. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, which fell to 47.17 earlier in the day, closed down 3 to 47.62. The NASDAQ continued to plunge, closing down 11 points to 1026. Bonds ended mixed, rebounding after a poor 5-year Treasury auction. Stocks of local interest include AT&T up 7/8 to 64 5/8, Campbell Soup up 1 3/8 to 51 1/8, and Outback Steakhouse down 7/8 to 31 1/8. For Raymond James and Associates and Street Talk, I'm Bill Hoyt.
When you are ready to retire from the rat race, will you be able to kick back and relax in that new beach house? Take a trip to that exotic locale you've always wanted to visit? Or will your dreams be washed away like castles in the sand? Not if we can help it. Tune in to Street Talk with Bill Hoyt and Greg Cunningham of Raymond James & Associates, member New York Stock Exchange. Saturdays from 7 to 8 a.m. here on AM 620 WSUN. Street Talk with Greg Cunningham and Bill Hoyt. Saturdays from 7 to 8. Don't miss it.
Normally, your engine sounds something like this. But if you could isolate engine parts and listen to them alone, you'd get a completely different picture. Your valves, for instance. What you're hearing is metal hitting metal, which can lead to damaging engine wear. Now listen to a cylinder. That's a piston ring grinding away at the cylinder wall, which is nothing compared to what's going on in your bearing case. The fact is, the only thing protecting your engine from completely destroying itself is a layer of oil 1/1000th of an inch thick. That's why you need Castrol GTX. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. Because if your oil breaks down, the next thing you could be hearing is... And that sounds pretty bad no matter what part of the engine you're listening to. Castrol GTX, engineered for greater protection against breakdown.
Available at your local Pep Boy store. Yo, it's Ron and Rodney. Your catch us tomorrow morning, 6 to 10 a.m.
And now back to the king of talk radio, Mr. Bob Lassiter.
On AM 620 WSUN, entertaining talk radio.
Hey, Alan, you're sure looking tan.
Can you keep a secret?
Yeah, what?
I joined a tanning salon.
Really? Well, you're looking great.
Yeah, thanks. I noticed all the girls around the office talking about me.
What do you mean?
Little whispers and giggles here and there. Probably think I'm a real outdoorsman, you know? Chicks dig that.
Okay, Alan, but can I tell you something as a friend?
Yeah, what?
Well, this is kind of hard to say, but have you noticed that you, fart a lot?
What are you talking about?
Well, you see right there, for example.
What?
Well, you just farted. Oh, and right there. You just did it again.
I did not. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to help you as a friend, Alan.
Oh, I get it. You're jealous.
Seriously, Alan, you have a real problem.
Screw you. I don't need to take this from you.
Alan, I'm just trying to help. Hey, I'm just trying to help.
It's estimated that 1 out of every 5 males over the age of 35 suffer from an intestinal condition known as Cardison's disease. It's a combination of excessive gas and a neurological disorder that prevents the individual from hearing his own problem. You may be suffering from Cardison's and not even know it. Brought to you by the President's Council. Osprey Free Berkshire, Red Box 447, Washington, D.C.
Jeff, yeah, we heard from our new lady listener in, where was that, Arcadia?
Arcadia, the Arcadia lady.
Yeah.
No.
Keep doing my best.
That won't do it. I don't know what will. It probably would sound like you up the astronomy
Well, let's give this
the other night.
Let's give this a try. 576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN, and of course, toll free 1-800-356-WSUN. So what all did she say yesterday?
She was just upset.
Well, what kind of details, Jeffy?
She was just upset, that's all. She was very upset that...
We weren't talking about Congress.
That's right. With all the things going on in the world, we had to be talking about farting.
So which one of the topless bars or X-rated movie theaters was she going to call first?
Well, that's what I asked her. She didn't like that too much.
Yes. Let's go to St. Petersburg. Hi, St. You're on the air at WSUN.
Good afternoon, Grace.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, that's a masculine squeak. Well, this is too. I'm the one who gave you that.
Well, that's
What
true.
happened to your rat squeaker, buddy?
I don't know. Somebody took it.
No.
What?
Somebody
First
took
day,
the
it's
whip?
gone. First
Somebody
day. Yeah, somebody took the rat squeaker.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Who cares? Strawberries are more macho anyway. I'm sitting here thinking that we must be watching this trial too much. I'm in there last night. Did you watch any of it?
Are you serial?
And my wife says she says every time she made a point, she's waiting for the people in the audience to hold up like 3-2, down the aisle. Because she'll sit there and make a point, and you're going, yeah, that makes sense. And as she got down, and I'm in the other room doing something, and as they got winding down with the thing on the DNA, I hear in the other room, "Take that, Mr. Scheck," from the wife, and I'm going, I love it. I love it.
Oh my God!
And I thought it was.
You people are in for serious trouble at your house. In the next 2 or 3 weeks when the verdict comes in, no matter which way it goes.
Guess what? I don't think the world's going to stop turning, but it could.
Hey, I think it might at your house.
No.
I mean, when the wife is sitting there screaming, "Take that, Mr. Scheck,"
for
television. I think it's a great line too. But had it come from the lips of my wife, I think I would have probably just keeled over with a heart attack, saying, it's irreparable. The damage is irreparable.
Well, I'm looking at it today, and all of a sudden it was like Furman's back on trial again, and this is going to happen for the day, And
see, it's one thing. It's one thing for us asshole males to scream back at the television, but when the ladies start doing it, man, there's trouble.
She doesn't like Scheck. She said if he gets up and starts talking today.
What? She doesn't like Paul Simon?
Paul Simon. He looks like he needs his nose circumcised. Give me a break.
Hey, he's a good-looking New York boy.
He looks like a Fonzarelli that his nose bulbed up on him. He looks like the Fonz,
Not one of these damn redneck hicks on the phone. Doesn't understand good-looking people from the north.
Oh.
I'm sorry. No, but
Don't apologize.
Probably sitting there eating a bowl of grits while he's calling.
Closing in on senility in 2 more days.
Redneck. Caller is a redneck.
Thank you, sir.
But he's not
from out there riding the bike all the time.
Yeah.
Well, are you watching it today?
Well, no, I'm working right now.
Obviously, you're probably going to watch it later and listen to whatever.
Yes, of course.
But I'm looking at this thing today, and I'm sitting there thinking, do they all shop at the same bad tie shop?
You know, I don't understand. Several people, including somebody today, I don't remember who the hell it was today, said with all sincerity something about, boy, that Johnny Cochran, he's got great ties. First of all, he's only got a half a dozen ties. He keeps wearing the same ties over and over and over again, and they're all hideous.
They're terrible. I wouldn't use one of those to buff my boots.
And the only day that the defense team had Chris Darden's tie, I thought was pretty cool today. But the only day that the defense team had decent ties on is the day that they all wore those African unity ties.
Yeah.
Because otherwise their taste in ties, especially that Cochran, God Almighty.
Well,
I kind of like his ties.
I don't know what to. Well, maybe. Now they're not going to get the verdict back by your birthday. I don't know. You know what would be funny as hell? Would be if he gave them the thing and said, now I want you to go over this whole case and everything, and 20 minutes later they got a thing back saying we've got the foreman and they've reached a verdict.
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, whether or not a jury can or does take a verdict or take a vote as soon as they go into the jury room, because it is possible.
I was on a jury just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was just a one-day trial. And we went in there, and I went ahead. I said, well, I'll be the foreman. It doesn't matter to me. It was only 6 people on the jury, and it was an interesting.
Oh God, a biker foreman. Oh, I never won a jury trial.
Well, I didn't wear that. I had a tie on that day. I kind of fooled him.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, you have a necktie on with your damned
black shirt.
Denim jacket with the sleeves cut out.
Well, they were frayed nice.
Yeah.
No, but it was an interesting civics lesson, really, to get into this, and go in there. And it didn't take. The thing was pretty well cut and dry. I mean, the state did not have a case, and we were in and out of there in 20 minutes. I mean, obviously they didn't present as much as they're presenting here, but these people have been absorbing this, and I don't think they're talking that they could go in there and have it by Monday to go into deliberation.
Do you agree with me though that the jury is more likely to get involved in things like bruises on the body than PCR versus RFLP and because they can identify with bruises on a body?
Yeah. And when I was sitting there last night, when she was sitting there talking about him flailing, his hands, because there was cuts on the palms and everything, and it's very possible. If somebody's coming at you with a knife and everything, and you're just sitting there trying to fight it off with your open hands, you could bang that thing against whatever. I don't know what the crime scene looks like. It could have been banged against stucco walls. You would have think it was in there, or the tree, or whatever. And I believe that the only person that really knows what happened there is whoever did the killing.
Well, that's what I was thinking last night. There's only one person in this room that has any idea at all as to whether or not Marcia's blown smoke or telling it like it is or got it someplace in between. And he didn't have the decency to stand up and tell us one way or the other.
Yeah, he would have if Raymond Burr would have been there.
I think, that's true.
They're talking, that it could be back
I like this caller.
Maybe back by the 13th.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to deliberate that long. I think if they get it by next Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if the verdict's in by maybe the following Monday or Tuesday.
Well, it all kind of depends on what kind of shenanigans they have to go through before they take a vote. And then obviously it depends on what the vote is. But if they have to review the entire trial, that could take a long time.
Well, in this thing that we were in, we did not have to go over. We sat there and said, no, I'm sorry, the state did not present a very good case. I said, I don't believe this. And one of the other guys says, I don't believe they presented a very good case either. And I said, well, I want to take a vote right now. And I said, I'm not guilty. And we went around the whole room, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. We said, okay, tell the judge we're ready to come back in.
I mean, you didn't promise, the other jurors, a keg of beer and a party with a bunch of motorcycle mamas or something if they vote your way, did you?
Not in front of the bailiff, I didn't.
Okay.
All righty, Bob. We'll be seeing you Friday.
Okay, dude.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Friday.
Yeah. That's what he said, yeah.
Friday? Does that mean you're coming on the boat or something? They're coming on the boat?
No, he's bringing me a motorcycle mama for my birthday.
No. Why don't you come on the boat with me for your birthday?
I have reservations. 576 WSUN in Pinellas, Hillsboro, 221 WSUN. That's where it's going to stay.
Time you come on there.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm not going on there, because I don't want to sink in time. Where was I? Hillsboro, 221 WSUN, or, of course, toll-free, 1-800-356-WSUN. Yeah, I'm not into fights, It's 527.
And now, an AM 620 WSUN Traffic Patrol update. Here's Chris Walker.
In Brandon, you've got a wreck, State Road 60 west of King, still wrapping one up on Simmons and Van Dyke, and still a little heavy northbound 275 from Lois to Himes, earlier wreck, and 22nd Avenue, 25th Street, a lot of fire department activity at that location with an accident. One coming in Clearwater on Myrtle and Chestnut. This report of service at McDonald's. Hurry into your nearest McDonald's and enjoy the September taste of the month, the Philly Melt. It's the burger that's full of Philly flavor. Swiss cheese sauce, grilled onions, and green peppers. Only for a limited time and only at McDonald's. Chris Walker, AM 620 WSUN Traffic Patrol.
Gosh, you talk slower than like Chris Darden sometimes, you know. We'll go to the 28 Tampa Bay News Center for my good buddies Brendan and Marty.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brendan McLaughlin.
And I'm Marty Tucker. Here are some of the stories you can see on 28 Tampa Bay News at 6.
A Pinellas County teacher accused of having sex with a 15-year-old student has been cleared of all charges. A student's claim turned out to be a nasty lie. Get the whole story tonight on 28 Tampa Bay News at 6.
And only 28 Tampa Bay News told you about allegations of abuse at a local correctional boot camp. Now several guards at that camp are the target of a criminal investigation. We'll tell you the full story tonight at 6.
And there's a new plan to finance a stadium for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How much will you have to pay? Well, that might depend on how big a Bucs fan you really are. Find out the details on 28 Tampa Bay News.
Plus, we've all learned a thing or two from the O.J. Simpson trial, but what have the kids learned? We'll find out at 6.
Join us for these stories and much more. That's tonight, only on 28 Tampa Bay News at 6.
Welcome to the Professional Contractor Stock Report, brought to you by the Home Depot. Every stock expert will tell you, buy low. Well, Home Depot's got over 50,000 items in stock, and every one of them's at a guaranteed low price day in, day out. In fact, even if you get a so-called contractor's discount at other places, you still pay less at Home Depot. And that's on professional quality stock, like custom building products. You know, Custom Building Products is the recognized leader in contractor quality tile installation products, interior and exterior patching products, and wall covering adhesive products. Plus, they're 100% made in America. Every Home Depot here in Tampa has the kind of services a pro like you can appreciate, like fax ordering, job site delivery. And since trading starts at 6 a.m. every weekday, your money can go to work as early as you do. Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning.
New York City is where I'll be tonight. Hi, this is Psychic Gary Spivey. Join me for downtown Julie Brown's birthday party. That's right, coming to you live right here on AM 620 WSUN between 6 and 8. You gotta listen.
AM 620 WSUN, soon to be a major motion picture.
Here it comes now, watching OJ. Stand 'em up, turn around, come on, OJ. Hey, he showed his scars, but it did no good now. 'Cause they played and replayed that 911 tape. So bad for OJ. OJ.
I only got a couple more days to play these, and then my cart rack's going to be half empty when I have to get rid of all of my OJ songs.
Oh, that's right. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I have no idea. Does anybody know, by the way...
Your life is ending, Bobby.
Anybody know whether or not Malcolm's kids are buying or renting?
I don't know.
Are they moving next door to you yet? They moving next door to me yet?
Just curious as to whether they're buying or renting. 576 WSUN in Pinellas, Hillsboro, 221 WSUN. There's a lady in Palm Harbor. Hi, lady in Palm Harbor. You're on the air.
How are you?
Hi, fine.
Good. Listen, I haven't really been following too much lately. Anyway. But I did have one question. Was it ever brought up about his little escape attempt at the very beginning when he was trying to... I don't understand. Why wasn't that... Doesn't that make someone look guilty when they're trying to run?
Well, there were a lot of problems. For example, the prosecution could not have shown only part of the videotape of that day. They would have had to have shown everything that happened that day, and everything was not conducive for them.
But just as an impression for the jury. I mean, if you were a jury person and you go, oh, well, this guy, if he's not guilty, wouldn't he just say, okay, just come on in, take whatever...
Have you ever been accused of a crime?
No.
Well, then you have no idea what it feels like to have the full force of the law come down on you when you're guilty or when you're innocent. And, it's one thing to stand there and say, if I was innocent, I would fight the charges. When you realize what you're up against, it is not at all unheard of for innocent people to panic. It's a very scary proposition.
Then, if you figure that, then why would he all of a sudden have like 10,000, of course, exaggerating lawyers that all of a sudden have to back him up?
Because the state has 20,000. The state still has resources far, far in excess of his. I have no problem in throwing that. No problem at all.
I don't know. I think if I was a juror, I would relate that as a...
You can't. You can't take it into consideration. It wasn't entered into evidence.
Well...
It didn't happen as far as the jury's concerned because the prosecution chose not. I mean, as an example, why didn't the prosecution put in his statement to the police? What would that tell you as a juror?
Well, it's not like the police were trying to hide something.
Well, I beg your pardon. No, the prosecution didn't want that statement played to the jury.
Yeah, well...
What does that tell you?
I didn't hear what the statement was, so I thought like...
Either did the jury. Now don't you think they're curious?
Of course. They would be curious. Who's to say that the jury hasn't thought about maybe being a hung jury? Because they've lost so many jury people as it is, and all of a sudden they're thinking, well, if we do guilty, this might happen. If we do not guilty, this might happen. What if they just can't make up their minds and it ends up being a hung jury? Then what?
Then what? Then it's up to the prosecution as to whether or not they wish to try him again.
I thought if it was a hung jury, you couldn't be. It was almost like an acquittal.
Oh, no. There are many, many, many options at that point. Again, the defense can move for an outright dismissal. They're not likely to get it. The prosecution can just drop the charges. They're not likely to do that. The prosecution can refile the charges and retry the defendant, or they can just just let it hang there and say, well, we'll think about it. And just keep the investigation ongoing and open, theoretically, for the rest of his life.
Well, that would be good for television, I guess. What do you think?
Well, I don't know how it would for television.
Well, this is, a big part of it has been about television and their ratings, so...
Well, but if they don't do anything, they're not going to broadcast it.
Of course not if they don't do anything, but if
I doubt very much whoever the next judge is not going to allow this to be televised.
Well,
and the state is not going to allow it to be televised.
Well, that would be a good step, I think. I think it should have never been televised.
Well, in retrospect, I would agree with you. I did not expect it to be the circus that it turned into being. I thought it was going to be a great civics lesson, and it was anything but a great civics lesson.
Yeah.
It was probably far more detrimental to the understanding and belief in our system than anything I could have imagined.
Yeah, almost scares you to think that TV isn't very far off is when they portray the justice system in our country. But that was my question.
Okay.
I mentioned that.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsboro, 221 WSUN. And, of course, can you imagine the next judge You know, if this is a hung jury
and a retrial,
and you know, and some poor slob drives into work in the morning, da 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 da. Oh boy, I like being a judge. It's really a neat gig. And the head judge calls him in and says, "You got the next instant trial." No, 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 not me, no. I'm going to go back into private practice. I mean, they could clear out the entire bench in Los Angeles. I don't think anybody would want to be subjected to what Ito has been subjected to.
He's chasing him down the freeway in a white Ford Bronco.
Yeah, exactly.
$10,000 in his pocket.
Right.
Heading for the border.
As well as the prosecutor who's assigned this one.
The two of them.
Be a parade of Broncos.
On a cell phone calling his mother.
As well as probably most of the witnesses in this. Yep. Everybody heading down the freeway at 35 miles an hour trying to get away. Oh, what a disaster this has been. Let's do a cell phone. Hi, Cell. You're on the air at WSUN.
Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today?
Doing great.
Well, I just need to find out a little bit of information. This is my first time of even watching court on TV.
Okay.
So it's really put a big damper on what I thought the judicial system ever did. Is that what your belief is? Is that the first time you ever seen it on TV?
Well, no, it's not the first trial I've ever watched on television. It's the longest and the one I paid the most attention to. But no, I've watched other trials on television. And
Have you ever been inside a court?
Yes, I have.
Is it actually, does it really portray on TV what it is in court?
Absolutely not.
Is that right?
Positively not. You know, most criminal cases are very small, very short. You almost always end up feeling sorry for the defendant, even if you believe him to be guilty. It's a cold, railroading type of a situation. It's basically the prosecutor stands up and says, "Guy's a scumbag, ought to be thrown away forever." And the defense stands up and says, "Oh, I wish you wouldn't say that."
Right.
And the judge says, 7 to 10. And they cart the bastard out the door, and it's over and done with.
Right, right. Don't you think they go to the extremes when they really nitpick a lot? I mean, like, you know, you have to do everything.
Sir, if that was your life that was on trial, you wouldn't consider that to be nitpicking.
You're absolutely right.
And no, it isn't nitpicking, because if this society is to function, then the members of the society must have consummate faith in the justice system and the police. And one of the things that we have discovered in this trial is that the police are apparently very willy-nilly about and how they go about doing their job.
Exactly.
He's guilty, so what the hell?
Right, right.
And that's not good for the society. It's not good at all.
Right. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. 576 WSUN and Alex. That's probably, as I would see it, the most detrimental thing to come out of this is that, at least to me anyway, I was shocked at just how devil-may-care they are. They'll take these swatches, huh? What's your problem if they all rub together? Come on. You got a problem with that? What's your problem with we didn't come back for 3-4 weeks to gather the evidence? You got a problem with that?
I wonder if that's the way it's been done all along.
Well, apparently it is. By and large, obviously there are exceptions to everything. And then, Marcia yesterday. Well, okay, Dennis Fung is an incompetent buffoon. So what?
Yes,
you got a problem with that?
He did pretty much say that.
Well, he is. Very nice guy. I'd be happy to have him for a next-door neighbor, go catch a few beers with him. He seemed like a really nice young man, but he just didn't seem to understand the gravity of his gig. That people can be put in cages for the rest of their lives depending upon the quality of his work. I wouldn't want Dennis Fung collecting evidence in a case that I was accused of. And frankly, I wouldn't want Dennis Fung collecting the evidence in a case, God forbid something happens to my wife. Because I'd never be sure if they got the right guy. Or I'd never be sure if they got the right guy if he'd end up getting off because of the sloppy work. This is inexcusable. This is unacceptable. This is not what we pay for. This is not what we accept. And this is one of the things that we've learned from this trial. And that's not too cool, I don't think.
I wonder how common, though, this is.
Who knows?
In other cities.
Who knows? That's what makes it so bad.
And then what makes it a good civics lesson You said it wasn't, you thought it was going to be a good civics lesson.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It was a good civics lesson because it's going to open the eyes of some of the people that a lot of this stuff has been going on, or whether it hasn't been going on. But I think it has been going on in a lot of places around the country, and this should hopefully put a stop to some of it.
Well, if it did, then I would be happy, but my fear is that with the, nobody likes crime, nobody likes criminals, ta-da, the 254th time I've said that this week. But my fear is with the general attitude in this country against crime and against criminals, that rather than tightening up the procedures and making sure that the procedures are conducted in a dignified, professional, unchallengeable manner, the effect will be the exact opposite. It'll be, well, this stuff isn't important. It would be my fear.
And then, yeah, you're right. And if you listen to some people talk on the streets, that's what it sounds like.
Because you see, if I had a nickel for everybody that I've heard, just on my show, for everybody that I've heard say, I'm fed up with all these rights these criminals have, I would be a very wealthy man. And I can't think of any right that a criminal has. And strangely enough, if they ever stay on the phone long enough to be asked which rights in particular are you disturbed about the criminals having, they don't know of any. But they don't like those rights the criminals have. They perceive things like the state having to prove its case as being a criminal's rights.
Yeah.
And the criminal has no rights. The accused has rights. And the fact that the accused has rights has been a real pain in the ass for the state in this trial. It's 5:44.
Now, an AM 620 WSUN Traffic Patrol update. Here's Chris Walker.
Dave, your cigar connoisseur, inviting you to join me Saturday at noon for Smoke This, when we'll kick back, light up, and enjoy a great cigar together. Now back to the only guy who fills the studio with more smoke than I do, Lassiter, on AM 620 WSUN, entertaining talk radio.
If you want to be cool.
Do the mad dog.
All right, make it twice.
Do the mad dog.
Get out of my way, I'm drinking here.
Do the mad dog.
No, dog, don't disco. I don't like this sweat, baby.
Don't you do the hustle. Don't you do the fool.
Do the mad dog if you want to be cool. Hey! Ho! Hey!
Okay, we have this fax here. A listener wrote or faxed me to ask you a question.
Yeah?
It says, Dear Bobby, please ask Sharon. We're all curious about the meatloaf situation. Now, apparently on Monday night, her husband, who I believe is called the bodyguard, didn't eat any of the meatloaf, citing...
Yes, he did.
Well, yeah, you said he had a
sample.
Right. Citing a large lunch. We are all curious as to whether or not he inadvertently had a large lunch again on Tuesday and only kind of picked at the meatloaf.
Well,
Signed, a listener in Lutz.
he did have a slice last night.
A slice.
Uh-huh.
Big, strapping man after working hard all day had a slice. How thick was the slice?
About a half inch. I'm going to
listener, I think you have your answer. Let's go to Clearwater. Hi, Clear. You're on the air at WSUN.
Fritz, once again, you caught me in mid-Dorito.
Oh, God.
Yes, it's me. Listen, I got to say, I'm 25. I'm athletic. I play everything from war games, that flat ball, that paint pellet gun or whatever, that game,
right.
to ice hockey.
Right.
And if you've got a soft spot on your body, you can bruise easier than, if I've gotten hit with these paint pellets in like harder parts of my body, like my thighs and my chest and stuff like that, and it doesn't leave marks. So if I get hit like in the small of my back or like right in like your waist area, it'll leave a big fat welt and it hurts. So it might just depend on the person and like his shape. OJ, I don't know what kind of shape he's in.
Yes, it might, but the fact of the matter is, or the problem for the prosecution is we might all have heard, stories about, but I know some guy that was hit by a truck doing 54 miles an hour and just brushed himself off. Not a bruise, not a scratch, no nothing. And the story like that might be, true.
People skydiving.
But it isn't plausible.
Right. Well, I just got to say that I don't know what time Johnny Cochran started, but I turned him on at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I love that man. I mean, I felt so patriotic and so liberal when he was talking and stuff. I mean, he was opening up with his statements.
Yeah, what was he saying that, was bringing tears to your eyes?
Oh, it was everything. He brought up a famous quote from, for the moment, of course, I can't remember it, Frederick was the guy's name, I think. It was just a very patriotic thing, and, he brought out the fact, one of the first points he made is that Darden yesterday was saying, well, the defense didn't bring out this information. He said, well, hey, we as the defense don't have to do anything. It's their case, it's their problem. And so he must have been listening to you, of course.
Well, of course they do. They have the show piped in, and they take down everything I say, and usually within 20 minutes of my having said it, one of the defense lawyers jumps up and repeats everything I say. I'm actually in charge of the defense.
I see. But after he got done with that, then he went on. That was pretty good. He went on to, the first thing he started attacking was the timeline. And he started attacking the defense on, first of all, how Marcia said, well, 10:15, and then all of a sudden, well, it could have been like 15 or 20 minutes later. And
it's a problem for the prosecution because they were so adamant at 10:15.
That's a big problem. And right now, Johnny Cox, he's got his howitzer plugged into that, and he's like taking charge of that.
Well, you must remember again, the prosecution made somewhat. We all do foolish and say foolish things, but the prosecution kind of hung their hat on "Plate of Whale of the Dog" because it sounded good to them, which was a very stupid thing to do because the prosecution knew about this other guy who was going to say 10:35, 10:40. They had talked to him first. He was their witness. And they chose not to put him on because they liked the 10:15 thing. They didn't like the 10:40 thing. And the defense got a hold of him. And so that's a problem.
Are you watching the trial right now?
No.
You don't have it on?
No.
On CNN right now, well, actually about 10 minutes ago when I first called in, Cochran was standing up there at the podium on this side of Marcia, so to speak, and Darden was sitting there in his chair just shaking his head.
Well, it's better than sleeping like he was yesterday, apparently.
I think he was trying to shake the sleep out of his eyes.
Oh, I see. Poor Chris.
I feel bad for the guy. And then Marcia, that scab is just getting bigger. My God.
Does she still have rings under her eyes today?
Yes, she does. And
see, she was out again. See, there must be the fleet must be in. And she's been out every night chasing sailors rather than chasing criminals. God almighty.
Oh, Johnny Cochran looks rather vibrant. Chris Darden and Marcia were guilty of putting me to sleep last night. I tried to stay awake, but
I fell asleep before Marcia finished.
Oh, I outlasted Marcia, and I hung on till Chris got into some trivial thing, and I just lost it.
My wife came in, and when she came into the room, I have no idea what time it was, but it woke me when she came in. I realized that Darden was on. I didn't even protest when my wife turned off the television. I just didn't care. At that point, screw it. Chris Darden, I'm going to lay awake in the middle of the night and lose sleep to listen to the eloquent tones of Chris Darden? I think not.
Well, I know it doesn't equate to the type of trial this is, but the only courtroom experience that I have is going in and fighting traffic tickets. And, occasionally I always get the same feeling like, well, it's the cop's right unless you have got absolute evidence that you didn't do whatever he's trying to tell you he did. And I never felt guilty or innocent until proven guilty. I've always felt like, guilty until I prove myself free. But,
well, I'm telling you, that other caller had asked, when you see an honest-to-God criminal trial, no matter how convinced of the guilt you are of the guilty party or the defendant, you still almost feel sorry for him.
No, I know.
It is not what we see on the tube or on the silver screen. It's not even close. It's a wham, bam, slam. Thank you, man. Next.
Okay, well, I've said my piece.
Okay.
And I agree with you, and...
Well, in that case, you're obviously a very intelligent young man.
Oh, one more thing?
Yeah.
Sharon, what a cool Bye-bye.
All right.
576 WSUN. And why am I giving the phone numbers at this point in time?
So you're trying to blame Marcia for your evening doze-off problems.
Yeah. You can't stay awake from the TV anymore.
Marcia is capable of far greater oratory. She was much better in the evening session than she was in the morning session, but nowhere. I have heard some phenomenally impassioned speeches from Marcia to Judge Ito while arguing motions that I was extremely impressed with. As a matter of fact, I think Marcia is better in bursts, much better than Johnny Cochran. Cochran is far more consistent, where Marcia's very inconsistent. So, but I think it's time to put a close to this for today. It's 5:56.
Now, an AM 620 WSUN traffic patrol update. Here's Chris Walker.
66th Avenue North and Haines Road just coming in with injuries. Also in Pinellas County, still have a 1 unit out at 22nd Avenue North and 25th Street while they wrap up an earlier injury accident. Hillsborough County wreck in the interchange southbound 275 at Ashley was blocking the left lane. They pushed it out of the roadway, but of course you're going to find some slowdowns through there. Lithia Pinecrest south of Giles with injuries, and Dale Mabry north of Lake Carrollway, minor crash. Anderson and Waters just coming in with a crash. And watch out for authorities at Hillsborough and Memorial. They're trying to wrap up one out there. This report is service of Builders Square. Visit Builders Square today for the kitchen cabinet truckload sale. Save up to 10% on great brand names, plus they can customize a kitchen floor plan that's just right for you. Chris Walker, AM 620 WSUN Traffic Patrol.
Hello, this is Psychic Gary Spivey. Join me tonight on my show where I'm coming to you live from New York City. That's right, New York City. I'm at downtown Julie Brown's birthday party. I'm hanging and greeting celebrities. That's what we're doing right here on AM 620 WSUN between 6 and 8. You gotta listen.
The following financing offer requires down payments. Trade-in offer limited to the sales car display area. No offers in conjunction with other offers. One traded per vehicle purchased. Attention, please. Attention, please. The Credit Clinic is returning to the Clearwater area. For the next 3 weeks, the Credit Clinic will be held at Dimmitt Chevrolet. And now with required down payments during the Credit Clinic, nobody will be turned down for financing. Divorce, repossession, bankruptcy does not matter, because during the Credit Clinic, nobody will be turned down for financing. Over $20 million worth of instant credit available now on over 300 new and used cars, trucks, and vans. And during the Credit Clinic, Dimmitt Chevrolet is guaranteeing $3,000 minimum for any trade-in on every car and truck in the sales car display area. Going on now at Dimmitt Chevrolet, just south of Countryside Mall.
Okay, listen to me. Burdines isn't the only store in Florida to celebrate an anniversary, but there are some things about this one that make it really special. One, you'll find the lowest, and I mean the lowest sale prices of the year. And two, it's a big... Are you listening? It's the biggest sale in Burdines, Florida history. No, I'm not talking a history that spans 5 or 25 or even 50 years. How about 97 years? That's right. It's the biggest sale Burdines has had in 97 years, and it's going on now. You're not just shopping. You're making history.
Hey, golfers, have you caught AM 620 WSUN's weekend program devoted entirely to golf? It's called I'm Teed Off. Tune in and listen to Master Golfer Joey as he chats with you about the latest links news, golf tips, and what the pros are doing. Don't miss I'm Teed Off with your host, Joey. Sponsored in part by McConney Fence. Call 247-3827. I'm Teed Off, Sunday at 5 p.m. on AM 620 WSUN. Entertaining talk radio.
It's a parking lot down there on the expressway. Traffic has come to a complete standstill as one motorist...
It all started with the motor oil breaking down, which led to an insufficient amount of protection between engine parts, which led to valves slamming into ports and piston rings scraping against cylinder walls, which resulted in a loss of compression in the cylinders, which led to an overall loss of horsepower. which, after years of neglect, led to engine failure. Which is why it pays to always insist on Castrol GTX. Castrol is specially formulated using patented viscosity improvers. It provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol GTX, because if your motor oil breaks down, what's next? Castrol GTX, engineered for greater protection against breakdown.
Now available at your area Kmart locations.
AM 620 WSUN, St. Petersburg, Tampa.